Hello, I am your host, Dr. Jack Braha, and welcome to the Medcast Plus show. On the show, we will feature local community physicians who are experts in their respective field and who will share their experiences and wisdom. We cover a broad range of health topics on the show, and today we will discuss colon cancer. March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month and an important reminder for us to undergo colon cancer screening. Colon cancer is the third most common cancer, and unfortunately, over 50,000 people died of colon cancer in 2017. According to data from the National Cancer Institute, the risk of developing colon cancer is 4 to 5%, and there are over 135,000 new cases diagnosed each year in America. With increased screening, the rates of colon cancer are declining in people over the age of 50, but new data suggests a rise in colon cancers in younger patients. 1 in 7 cases are now diagnosed in patients under the age of 50. There are ways of preventing this disease. First, it is important to have a conversation with your primary care physician or gastroenterologist to determine your risk. Average risk individuals should be screened at age 50, or if African American, the American College of Gastroenterology suggests beginning at age 45 due to increased risks. One of the most common ways of screening, and the only way where you can find and remove precancerous cells, is with a colonoscopy. Precancerous cells accumulate to form polyps. These are small bumps or growths in the colon that can be removed during a colonoscopy and prevent the development of colon cancer. Colonoscopy is painless when performed with intravenous sedation and takes about 15 minutes to complete. Here in Brooklyn at our colonoscopy center, we find precancerous polyps in about 30% of the patients we see. There are certain factors that would require that someone begin screening before the age of 45 or 50, and it is important to discuss this with your physician. Today, we welcome Ms. Margaret Reddy, a colon cancer survivor, to talk about her experience with colon cancer. Her patient's perspective is unique, and we are honored to have Ms. Reddy here today. Welcome, Ms. Reddy.
Hello, Dr. Braha.
Thank you for coming.
I'm pleased to be here and help you any way I can.
In full disclosure, I want everyone to know that I was your doctor back in 2017 when,
Yes.
Unfortunately, we came to find a problem in the colon, and we found an early colon cancer. Tell me what brought you to our office. How did you end up meeting with us?
I was suffering from severe exhaustion. I wasn't seeing any blood anywhere, but every day I was 100% more tired than the day before. And then I got to the point where I couldn't speak or put together a few thoughts. So I went to the doctor. He did a heart workup on me, and everything kept coming back perfect. You're healthier. Your heart's healthier than it was 10 years ago. But I was still declining rapidly. So I asked the nurse for a referral to go. I thought maybe I had a bleeding ulcer from being on medication from an injury for so long. And the other doctor wanted me to continue having tests, but the doctor's office he wanted it done in wasn't going to be open for 3 weeks. I didn't think I had 3 weeks. So I got the referral. We looked up the best and found you. I called, and you brought me in right away.
I remember meeting with you in the office, and your doctor actually has been on our show, Dr. Mitchell Lipton, and he had done some blood work, and we had found
Yes.
a low blood count, and we thought that this might be contributing to your weakness and to your fatigue.
Yes, because I wasn't experiencing any chest pains or anything, just the weakness.
Right. And so you presented to us with some symptoms that could be from any disease. It could be from heart disease, it could have been from the cold, it could have been from just exhaustion, from stress. But the good doctor had drawn some blood work and found that you were anemic, and we know that if there's less fuel in the tank, it's harder to drive the car, and that was what was going on. And so you and I had a discussion about anemia and what we should do to work it up, and I suggested you undergo an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And we met, and I tried to schedule the appointment as soon as possible, but we had some bumps in the road, if I remember.
Oh, yes.
So initially we had put out a request to your insurance company. Hi, we'd like to do a colonoscopy. This patient is suffering from anemia. We were initially denied, but your condition worsened over the next few days. And I remember we ended up in the hospital together.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
You did the blood work the day I went in. The next morning you called me at 9 o'clock and told me go right to the hospital, don't pack anything, let your daughters do it, and tell them you need a transfusion, that I'm authorizing it. They gave me 1 unit of whole blood, which brought my hemoglobin from 7.2 to 7.4, which wasn't holding it. So then they gave me 4 more units of concentrated hemoglobin, and that brought me up to 9, so you could do the colonoscopy.
Right. So in order to do the test, with the sedation, we
Yeah.
had to bring your hemoglobin, your fuel tank of cells, up to a reasonable level. And it's important for folks at home watching to recognize these symptoms of fatigue and weakness. But some of the other symptoms like bleeding or black-colored stool, you didn't have any of this.
No, nothing. That's what was so puzzling.
Yeah.
I wasn't in any pain. I didn't notice any blood anywhere, but I was just depleted of everything.
And you had never had a colonoscopy before this?
No.
And how old were you last year when we had met?
66.
66. God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you. So 66 years old, a patient comes to us with anemia. As a gastroenterologist, obviously the first thing I'm going to be looking for are bleeding ulcers, bleeding vessels, or colon cancers. And so we took you downstairs to the endoscopy unit that we have, and we did an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And of course, we found a problem in the colon. And I remember waking you up at the end and having this miserable conversation that for us is very difficult. What was it like to hear that, hey, we found this problem in the colon?
I was absolutely shocked. I wasn't having anything strange with my bowel movements at all. No pain, no frequent bowel movements, no constipation. Everything was normal to me.
And that's an important point. Polyps and even early colon cancers, as we saw in your case, patients don't have symptoms all the time. It is rare that a patient comes to me and has a symptomatic polyp, which is a precancerous growth. And even early colon cancers, like you said, you had no changes in your bowels and you saw no blood.
Yeah.
So after the colonoscopy, we took a biopsy during the procedure. We had to wait for the result. I'm sure that was very, very, very
Oh my God, that was
anxiety-producing for you.
Absolutely terrifying.
We waited a few days. We were able to keep your blood count at a reasonable level, and we were able to get you out of the hospital.
For a day or two.
Right. I remember that. We ended up making a little bit of a round trip for another reason. But Dr. Lipton and I had planned on getting your heart work optimized, making sure you had a stress test before surgery. And we, as an outpatient, then called up Dr. Joseph Shahebar, right? Dr.
Yes.
Shahebar is a physician who specializes in colon surgery. And you were headed to what was then Lutheran Hospital, which is now NYU Brooklyn, because your primary care doctor was over at that hospital, and we ended up having you admitted to that hospital, and you met with Dr. Joseph Shahebar.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He was awesome. He met me over the phone, just reviewed my charts on an airplane, came in, looked at me. They was postponing the gallbladder surgery and managed to do it all together, spoke with all the doctors, and it couldn't have been nicer to me. It was such a short period of time from the time I got sick till I was better. It was only a couple of months.
So I remember you called me up and said, hey, I'm in pain. And I said, that sounds like your gallbladder, not a colon cancer issue.
Yeah.
I don't think we can wait. So you ended up going over to Lutheran, and I knew that my good buddy, Dr. Joseph Shahebar, who I had grown up with, actually knew him when I was a child. We both ended up in the same sort of field. I called him, and he was getting on an airplane and flying back from a conference, and he was able to review all of my records, which I sent to him right away, and determined that he would be able to do your surgery at the same time as they took out the gallbladder. And so you went for surgery, and because all of the scans showed that this was an early colon cancer, you were able to have it removed.
It was amazing. I was terrified. All I kept thinking was, I'm going to have a colostomy. And that was really terrifying me. But thanks to 3 good doctors, I managed to bypass that and not even have to do chemo.
Right.
And I don't think if you guys were so on top of my results and making sure I had the testings done right away, that I would have been able to get through that.
Right, so that's an important point. You bring up actually a few points that our viewers are probably thinking about right now. You mentioned the word colostomy, and it is a dreaded word for patients who are undergoing surgery on their colon, whether it's for Crohn's disease or for ulcerative colitis. They say, Dr. Braha, am I going to need a colostomy? And a colostomy is a fancy word for a bag. And basically what the surgeons do is if they cannot connect the plumbing, if they cannot connect the colon back together right away, there's a temporary bag on the skin which drains the colon. And I know that patients fear this so much, and that was obviously one of your fears. Did Dr. Shahebar talk to you about that?
No, because I was so really still pretty out of it. I really didn't get to discuss many things until it was all done.
You were so nervous about going through it?
You know, that's all that was on my mind, was that I was going to have a colostomy. And once you hear that, once I heard the cancer word from you, I mean, my brain just went blank to everything else.
So you wake up from surgery and you see that there's no colostomy.
I was so excited. Then it didn't matter what they were doing, you know. They were having problems with my veins. I didn't care. Poke me 100 million times. I made it.
No colostomy was the most important thing.
You know, they're like, well, you have to go to the bathroom before you can leave. Not a problem. I'm not afraid of that
You'll
anymore.
stay here all week to wait to have a bowel movement.
Whatever you tell me,
Yep.
I will do.
So you had this great news.
Very, very excited.
There was great news, and then we got the biopsy back after the surgery. You would not need chemotherapy.
That was also exciting.
It's like winning the lottery.
It was. It really was. I was afraid to talk to people about it because you don't want to jinx yourself, and I didn't want to overburden anybody with my humdrum problems. So, you know, you just kind of hold it into yourself, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to go there until I absolutely have to go there.
How did you manage, because I don't know how I would do it, but how did you manage that anxiety between the time of the surgery and knowing that biopsies and pathology would have to come back, and there are those days or sometimes weeks that you're waiting to get the results? How did you manage your anxiety?
Sometimes well, sometimes not so well. I had been injured in an accident almost 20 years ago and had 9 operations from it.
Oh, wow.
Several on my spine, both knees replaced, you know, big operations. And I just figured I suffered through all the pain of 2 knee replacements, spinal fusion, percutaneous discectomy with no pain medication on the nerve portion. I mean, I went through a lot, and I said, now I'm gonna die? After all this, when I haven't even gotten to really live, I finally got to a point where I was healthy enough. I actually had put in job applications over at Israel and was really gonna go back to work when I got this. Just before I got it.
Just before we diagnosed everything,
yes.
You were putting in job applications. What a bump in the road here.
I said, they're probably all coming. My daughter had to shut down all my Facebook account and Twitter and stuff because everything was coming in, and I didn't know where I stood. But I knew I wasn't going to give up then because I had fought so hard before. And besides, I have adorable grandchildren. And my one grandson took my hand and he said, Grandma, I love you. And it doesn't matter what you look like. I'm still going to love you. And you're a strong woman. You can make it through this. And sometimes that's all you need. One kind word.
Wonderful family support is important.
My daughters were wonderful. They took care of everything for me.
So for our viewers out there today, and for me even, asking, well, colonoscopy at age 66. We talk about starting at age 50. Had anyone recommended to you that you maybe get screened or?
You know, not once. And I have been under constant doctor care, but orthopedic. And I guess I figured nothing was bothering me. I was going for all these other constant surgeries, physical therapy 3 times a week for 13 straight years. I mean, it was a lot. And it never dawned on me because I didn't have any what I thought were symptoms.
And that's important because we start colonoscopy at age 50 for most folks, and it doesn't matter what symptoms they have. All that matters is the 50th birthday came along, the big 50.
Yeah.
And no matter what, folks should undergo a form of colon cancer screening to prevent, unfortunately, what you went through. Now, and I could understand how it felt for you. My grandpa, back in the 80s, was diagnosed with colon cancer and unfortunately died of colon cancer. And back then, they had not pushed screening at the time for colon cancer with colonoscopy. And you were floating around from doctor to doctor, mostly for your orthopedic issues, and made it all the way to age 66 without a colonoscopy. And obviously, we wish you had one done before. But once we recognized your symptoms, you talked about how quickly we wanted to move along.
Yes.
And that's important. You know, as a physician, my heart sinks the minute I put that camera in and I bump into a colon mass or a very, very large polyp. And, you know, sometimes it's very emotional for us. You know, oh my gosh, here is this nice lady and I've got to deal with this mass. What do I tell her when she wakes up? How is she going to react? And for me, it's all about time. I want to find the patient the best doctor as fast as possible to now cut out the tumor. If we need to do chemo, I want to get all the testing done overnight. And unfortunately, we do face some, you know, obstacles, whether it be insurance company waiting for authorizations and things like that. So you made it through quickly.
Yes, I did.
And after surgery was in the summer, I believe, or at the end of the summer?
Yes, in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the summer of 2017, and then we had a little bit of a scare.
Yeah.
We had a little scare again where you went for what we call some surveillance with the oncologists and with Dr. Shahebar, where after someone has a cancer removed, the physicians want to make sure it doesn't come back. And so a scan was done, and we saw something light up, correct?
Yes.
More anxiety.
They did. Yeah.
More
Oh
anxiety.
my God, that was more anxiety than the original.
And
Because then I figured, now I'm not going to get away without having that colostomy.
And we had seen something light up on what we call a PET scan. Yeah. And a PET scan for our viewers is a scan where you get injected with some fluid or medication where it wants to light up in areas of high activity. And we know cancer cells are very, very active. And so there was something lighting up where the surgery was done. And it's not uncommon that we see this. It's often related to inflammation, but there was a great concern. And so we repeated another colonoscopy together. And thank God we didn't find anything serious.
Yeah.
Another relief?
Yes, it was. It really was, because I figure, you know, sooner or later your luck's going to run out and you're going to get the bad news. Hopefully, this was all the bad news.
And so you know you need to follow up with
Oh,
us and
absolutely.
with the cancer doctors and Dr.
Just had my visit
Shahebar.
yesterday.
Right. And so how do you feel about this now? Tell me what it is like, what has changed in your life after this experience?
Not putting off screenings that, you know, they recommend that you do.
What have you
because
gone
you don't
for?
have.
Tell me all the
What I don't.
screenings that you're catching up on now.
Well, that was the only one that I hadn't done.
Right.
I kept
So
up on
cervical
everything
exams,
else.
breast
Yes.
exams.
That one, I was afraid. I thought, oh, it hurts. It's going to hurt. My back is so bad. Laying in the positions is going to kill me. I was terrified of it.
Of the colonoscopy.
Yeah, I was.
So how was it in the end? How difficult or how easy it was, the colonoscopy for you?
I can't tell you how absolutely positively easy it was, because you made me comfortable. There was, you know, you joke around a lot. So when you get into the room, and that's an awkward time, you know, when positioning and
You've got
looking at everything.
Your fanny is out in the air.
Yeah.
We give you some fancy shorts, though. We give you some shorts. We obviously cut a hole for the fanny.
Yeah.
And so you roll into a room, you meet an anesthesiologist, you met the folks.
Even they were awesome. I mean, everybody was just joking around like nothing serious was going on. And you're comfortable. Next thing you know, good night.
And you don't feel anything,
Nothing.
correct?
Even when I had the big tumor and you had to take biopsies from it, I felt nothing.
You woke
no
up with
discomfort.
no
ever.
clue that there was
no,
something wrong.
No,
Right.
I wouldn't have known I had anything done.
After colonoscopy, how did you feel the hour after?
Fine. I could have gone dancing.
You went? You
No,
didn't go
I
dancing,
said I
though.
could have
You
gone
could have
dancing.
gone dancing. Okay.
Yes.
We don't want folks dancing right before.
No,
also.
no.
But you
that's
left
how
the
good I
center,
felt.
unfortunately, with some news that you went upstairs to your room.
Yeah.
And
Hard.
we waited then for the biopsies. And for most folks who come for colonoscopy, we find absolutely nothing serious, but it's important to check. We find polyps in about 1 in 3 patients. And the colonoscopy, as you mentioned, is painless. How about the prep? Tell me about drinking the prep.
Oh my God.
That's
awful.
the work, right?
That was awful. The one I had to do in the hospital, they gave me lukewarm. And that was disgusting.
How about in the office? We used a different prep for you in
There
the
were
office.
two that were listed on the paper, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do one or the other or both of them. So I called up, and the secretary told me, no, do both of them. It wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad.
Did you use Gatorade prep mixed with a laxative, or did you use one of the prescription preps?
No, both of the prescription preps.
Okay. And so you drink the liquid.
I drank the liquid. That was fine.
Okay.
And, that was an easy one to drink down. That was nothing. It's the second one. Oh, my gosh.
And then what happens? All of a sudden, you and the bathroom become good friends.
Yes, you do. You don't want to be too far from the bathroom.
Don't go out dancing after you drink the prep.
No.
Right.
You try to eat light a few days before.
Right. So what we recommend, and what you went through, is that folks modify their diet 24 hours before. And this is to help start cleansing the bowels. They go onto a liquid diet. I allow my patients to have some vanilla ice cream.
You're nice.
And I'm nice. And then we drink the prep. And now, I have had 3 colonoscopies myself, okay, so I know what it's like. And so we drink the prep, and we want to make sure that you have nice toilet paper, make sure the toilet flushes properly before you drink the prep. And so then you go to the bathroom. Was it painful?
No, not at all. No cramping, nothing.
No cramping.
No.
But you have a lot of bowel movements.
A lot of bowel movements.
And that's
and
it.
that's it, really. I
Right.
mean, that was the extent of the discomfort from the whole procedure.
And now when you need another colonoscopy about a year from now, any hesitation?
No, none.
You're ready to go?
Yeah.
And what about family members? Have you tried to educate family members and friends to get their colonoscopy?
Absolutely. I talk to everybody about it.
What do you tell them? How do you present it?
I tell them, had I gone when I should have gone, I probably wouldn't have cancer.
Yeah.
So I talk to everybody about it.
But you made it in time.
Yeah.
Right in time. Right in time. It is. Folks that we find polyps in, sometimes, just the other day I took a polyp out of a gentleman, and it was a large polyp, and the biopsy came back with some small cancer in the polyp. But thankfully for him, the polyp was, the way we removed it, good margins. And I'm going to be calling him probably right after this, because I just got the results overnight, and say, hey, listen, we got you just in time. As a matter of fact, he won't even need surgery.
Oh, wow.
And so it's important for the viewers today to realize that by doing a colonoscopy, as you suggested, on time,
Yeah.
can prevent
It's a big thing.
unnecessary events down the line.
Absolutely. For something that's so painless. It's a little inconvenience for one day while you go to the bathroom. That's it.
The sedation for the colonoscopy is the pleasure part, I would say, right?
Yes.
How was the sleep? Tell me the sedation is like a dream.
Oh, my God. I just remember the anesthesiologist saying, we only give you top shelf
Top shelf.
stuff here.
That's my joke usually. That's my joke.
And it was, I mean, out like a light.
Right. We try to have some
And
music
No
playing.
nauseousness when you wake up, nothing.
We want you to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You know,
I was.
joking around a little bit. We're taking it very seriously in our minds and all, but we know how nervous you could be. I know how nervous you could be having had 3 colonoscopies. As they're wheeling you into the room, all of a sudden there's a rush of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for doctors out there and the anesthesiologists who might be watching to realize how anxious patients can be, and to keep the mood serious, because this is a
Right.
medical procedure, but to lighten it up for the patients.
Yeah, you
Answer
can-
all the questions. I'm sure you had tons of questions before. How did you get information aside from asking the doctors? Did you Google? Did you go online?
No, because the first time I was so sick I couldn't think. I couldn't hardly speak. So my daughters did it all for me. They Googled the best, and then they found you and came with me to make sure that I could speak and tell you how I was feeling. Not that you couldn't see it, but they were great. They were great for me. They still, monitor everything. Mom, you're doing this, you're doing that. But it's nice to know that there are people out there that care enough about their patients that they will make you feel comfortable in a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, we have to.
And I'm so grateful for that.
We have to put ourselves in the patient's shoes. Sometimes it's very difficult for us to do that. Having been a gastroenterologist for quite some time now and having family members who have gone through this, I think it's a little easier for me to feel some of what you were going through from the family standpoint. And it's important for doctors, physicians to realize this, that this is like an earthquake to your life all of a sudden when we diagnosed you. And so tell me about work life now, exercise, eating. Do you notice any differences or impacts, anything you can't do now?
No, nothing. I can do absolutely everything. I take a little bit of medication to keep myself from having constant diarrhea, which is already subsiding. So my bowels are getting back to being absolutely normal.
Okay.
I really don't have limitations on anything.
I think that is a fact that comes from you having a great surgeon, and in having great family, and in you having very good energy and a very good mindset about this and being positive. I recall you jumping all these hurdles and getting over it. And I want to thank you for coming here today and speaking,
you're welcome.
and hopefully educating some of our viewers as to why they should undergo colonoscopy and screening for colon cancer.
Yeah, because it really, really doesn't hurt.
Thank you, Ms. Reddy.
Thank you.
And thank you for your interest in the show and for watching today. I hope that this will increase your desire to become involved and educated and take care of yourselves. I invite you to visit our website, www.medcastplus.com, and check out our tools and connect with us on social media. You can also call us at 718-510-2103. I am Dr. Jack Braha. Thank you for watching, and stay healthy, Brooklyn. Good night. Goodbye.